We're back. We here at Squawk on the Street have been taking a closer look at what's getting the most buzz on CNBC.com. In the last couple of days, two leveraged ETFs have been searched more than any others, the Direxion Financial Bull and Bear. So we thought we'd do a little homework, bring you all the details from the experts, because you clicked. Joining us now is Tom Lydon, ETF Trends Editor, and Cool Breeze, Bob Pisani, our in-house ETF guru. All right, what's all the fuss about these two leveraged ETFs, Tom?
Well, basically, they started in 2008, and what a great time, but they're 3 times leveraged, both to the long side and the short side, Mark. So during this volatile time that we've had this past year, especially in financials, you could come up with 3 reasons why to be bullish or why to be bearish, but they've ballooned in assets from a little over 100 million at the beginning of the year to both having $1.5 billion right now. So today, based on your thoughts going forward, whatever side of the fence you're on, here's a way to play this sector in a very leveraged way.
These are leveraged 3 times. Okay.
3 times leverage.
All right, this is gambling. This is not investing. People are gambling, and that's okay.
Well, it's okay, and it comes down to the subject that we've been talking about for months, about inverse and leverage ETFs. Are they warranted? There have been some warnings, but for sophisticated strategies and educated investors, as long as they're monitoring actively their portfolios and keep their allocations in line, they're perfectly fine.
You know, Mark, I agree with your point that it is gambling to a certain extent, although I think by and large people should be allowed to gamble. Here's the problem I have. Number one problem.
It's gambling to a complete extent. And yes, they should be allowed to gamble. But don't mistake it for investing.
Here's the problem I have. Number one, as we have discussed before, and FINRA has warned about this, they warned yesterday that inverse and leveraged ETFs do not track their underlying indices over time. They track them on a daily basis, but not over time, and investors need to understand that, number one. And number two, these are sort of derivatives in a way, Mark, and derivatives, what we have to see, whenever you get into these derivative products, they often increase complexity and increase volatility over the long term in different industries, and they don't decrease that. That's one of the things I have a problem with philosophically.
Are we going to see a bigger shift, Tom? I mean, you know, when I talked to Mary Shapiro from the SEC, it seemed like she was very concerned about this whole concept of leveraged ETFs. Now they put out a warning about the risks, but is the next step going to be just not to have them at all?
I actually think the opposite, Aaron. I think by seeing FINRA and the SEC come together with a joint statement and basically put on a warning label saying they're not for everybody. And at this point in time, if you're buying these ETFs and you don't know how they're constructed or how they work, you've had your head in the sand. So there's a warning label. If you look at Q-tips, they have a warning label on them, but millions of people use them every day. So from that standpoint, I think we're going to go forward understanding that they're a type of investor, or there are institutions, hedge funds that use these very successfully. They do exactly what they're supposed to do on a daily basis. And now even FINRA and the SEC combined have come out and said, for some strategies, over longer periods of time, they may be appropriate.
Yeah, and the industry is gearing up. I would agree with you, Tom. The industry is gearing up for even more complex products, Mark, and this is sort of the problem that I've got here. So, for example, I've seen ETFs floated around that are going to be involved in pair trading of different ETF products, and it's going to get more complicated now that all of the basic ETFs have been covered, even globally.
All right, well, this just underlines that people must do their homework and fully understand what it is they're buying and selling, especially in the case of ETFs. Tom Lydon, Bob Pisani, thank you both very much.
Okay.
And again, we're not criticizing the product, the ETF.
Right.
It's just that, as Bob pointed out, they can be very complex, and you need to understand what you're doing.
All right.